Shalom, 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 shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Barakatham. To all the brothers and the sisters that's watching. Before we start off, I want to give all praise, honor, infinite glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, the Ruwa, that teach what taught us truth, and the hearty shalom to all Akim and Aqua tuning in. Shalom, shalom. All right, now we're going to get straight into it. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. This is W4Y Michigan. Screw this place, man. All right, because Babylon the Great is extremely wicked, man. And in order for you to want to live here, in order for you to want to have another year, another day, another month, you know, in this society, man, you gotta be wicked, because this place is totally contradictory to how Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai wants to run it. Okay, Esau Edom is in control. He's pushing all type of wickedness throughout the four corners of the earth, man. Okay, the scriptures even say they can't even go to sleep without doing wickedness, man. Let's get that, man. All right, let's get straight into it. So yeah, these devils, they so wicked, all right, that they gotta cause somebody to go off. Let's see if I can get that. Cause some before sleep. Let's see if I could get it, man. All right, because Esau Edom, he has to do things behind the scenes, okay, to make sure that as long as the Israelites is going off, as long as the Israelites is, you know, serving false gods, these damn devils, they can still keep pushing things, okay. But as soon as we all turn to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, which is going to only be the elect on this side, okay, but as soon as the elect turn to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, you're going to see more things picking up. That's why the elders and apostles of Great Millstone always say that they believe that either everybody's all the elect is already sealed, or we're getting super close to them all being sealed. But basically, the MOTB is coming. All right, you already got the digital ID in the UK. There's other countries that's also picking this thing up. You already got China with the digital ID as well. Okay, but very soon that's going to shift off to the MOTB, the mark of the beast, okay, which is going to be that Neuralink, that incision, that chip that's going to be put inside you, okay. So let's get this scripture, and then we got World War III, okay. We got a lot of things that's going to play out. Jacob's trouble, okay, the second coming of Yahweh Shai. All right, let's get this scripture. This is Proverbs 4:16. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief. So Esau Edom cannot go to sleep unless he do some type of wickedness, unless he cause somebody to go off. All right. And their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. So they gotta make somebody do some wickedness in order for things to pop off. All right. It says, for they eat the bread of wickedness, right? So that's why when you turn on your TV, who owns all these different channels, all these corporations? Who owns CBS, CNN, NBC, you know, ABC? You know, who owns all these news channels, all these outlets? Who's reigning over the president? Okay, who's reigning over the Senate, the representatives? All right, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, but predominantly it's the 1%. Okay, and when I say 1%, I'm going into let's say the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, these banking families. Okay, but all these Edomites gotta pay. Okay, let's get that scripture. I'm gonna bring this out. But that scripture is fire, because the scripture says, let me see, let me grab that real quick, see if I can grab it off my phone. All right. So yeah, the scripture says the fourth generation. Let's get that. All right, so this is Exodus 34:7. Keeping mercy for thousands. All right, how about Shem Yahweh Shai is keeping mercy for thousands of Israelites. All right, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, which is going into these Edomites. All right, they're the guilty, they're the wicked. All right, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, the Ish people. All right, the Amalek, they got to pay too. visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children. So we had to catch hell. We had to get the curses put on us because our forefathers sinned. They went off, which we are our forefathers. All right, and upon the children's children until the third and the fourth generation. So literally, right now, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, all right, we're being judged. We got the curses, we suffering, we're catching all this hell. But very soon, the Lord is going to flip that and put the curses on these heathens. Let's get that. All right, so Deuteronomy 30:7. All right, it says, "And the Lord thy God, Yahweh, will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee." So the Lord is going to put all these curses that we dealing with, everything that we suffer, being poor, having sicknesses, diseases, what else? Working under these heathen nations, serving them, okay, being at the bottom of the totem pole. That's all going to shift to these heathen nations and those that despise us. It's not just going to be on Esau, Edom, okay, the so-called white man. It's going to be on all these nations. Moab, the Moabites, so-called Chinese, the Ammonites, the so-called Japanese, Elam, all Ham, all these nations that persecuted us, that despised us, they're going to have to serve us, man. Okay, and on top of that, they're going to have the curses as well. Okay, so let's get another one. So yeah, Esau, Edom got to pay, man. And it tells you that in Obadiah. See if I can get that. All right. Let's get some Obadiah. All right. So this is a very, this is like a futuristic prophecy. This is something that's going to happen in the future. Okay, this is the judgment of Esau, Edom, okay, for all his wickedness, for his rulership of death and destruction, for his rulership of pushing traditions of men, okay, Halloween, the femme agenda, Christmas, same sex marriage, whatever. Okay, all this is going to be destroyed, man. Okay, and Esau Edom is going to have to pay for doing this. Okay, so it says Obadiah chapter 1. Well, we're going to start it from 1. All right. It says, the vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, an ambassador sent among the heathen. Arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle. Okay, Yahweh Shai is about to come with the whole host of heaven, man. All right, to go against Esau, Edom, and these heathen nations. All right, their technologies, their tanks, their helicopters, their drones, and whatever else Esau, Edom has. Okay. It says, behold, Obadiah 1 chapter 2. Obadiah 1 and 2, it says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. So Esau, Edom, he's out of all the nations, he's the smallest, okay, out of every single nation. The so-called Chinese, they have millions, okay. The Arabic people, they have millions, okay. Africans, millions, okay. The Israelites, millions. Okay, but Esau, Edom, he's small among the heathen. It says, but thou art greatly despised. So these damn devils, they're smallest, but they're the most dangerous. They're the most wicked. They're the most despised. They're the ones that's dropping bombs on people. They're the one that's going into these different countries and different nations and rape, robbing, and murdering their people. They're the one that's basically pushing wickedness throughout the four corners of the earth, man. All right, when you look at the numbers of murderers, killers, rapists, all the worst things in the world, the Edomites, they have a wider percentage of of people that do that than any other nation. Okay, and there's many statistics that go into that. It says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, though thou dwellest in the clefts of the rock, okay, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? So these Edomites, they are super proud. Okay, they're sitting in their skyscrapers and they're looking down. Who's gonna stop us? Who makes more money than us? These banking families, Esau, Edom, Amalek. These Esau, Edom is sitting there like, yeah, I'm at the top. Nobody can stop me. All right. Obadiah 1:4, it says, though thou exalt thyself as an eagle. And who's exalting themselves as an eagle? When you look at America pushes the bald eagle. All right. Most of these nations, these EU, NATO, when you look at all these different countries, let's see if I can grab them real quick. All right, so soon as I pull up the eagle flag, look what pulls up. Okay, America. All right, but it's also other nations too that was taking this mark on, or this flag. Slovakia. All right, so when you look at it, you got Germany. It's way more than just Germany. But you see, you got a whole bunch of countries that push that eagle. All right, but it's mainly going into America. So it says, though thou exalt thyself as an eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, said the Lord. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought out? All right. So literally, Esau Edom, man, he does so much wickedness behind the scenes. The scripture is basically saying, like, man, these hidden things, how can they be searched out? How can you find out about this? And you do that through Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, through the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. The scripture says, let's get the scripture. All right, Amos chapter 3:7. Surely the Lord Yahweh will do nothing but reveal his secrets unto his servants the prophets. So the Lord reveals his secrets to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone in the like-minded camps, man. All right, let's get another scripture. All right. Acts 2:17. It shall come to pass in the last days, said the Lord Yahweh, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And that don't mean that women out here prophesying or on the corners. No, man. Okay, this is just going into the Lord giving you the spirit to see the future. You see in certain scenarios play out, or a dream. All right, you dream a dream, and it's basically a future vision, okay, of what's to come in the future, for 2/3 of our people. All right, and the destruction of these heathen nations, man. All right, but the Lord's going to put the spirit on to where, you're going to have Israelites, men and women and children. Okay, but on top of that, you might even have heathens. Okay, because the Lord, he's going to put the spirit out there to where people are going to be seeing all type of things being revealed to them in these times, man. That's why people were saying, for a long time, oh, this the woke, woke, everybody was pushing that woke agenda. All right, but let's get into some of these articles. All right, I'm gonna see if we can get into these articles real quick. Mm-hmm. All right, so we go get straight into it. Let it go.
Might be happening tomorrow. Tomorrow on October 18th is the largest protest in American history. Might be happening tomorrow. Tomorrow on October 18th is the official second coming of the No Kings protest, following up the first No Kings protest back in June. There are more than 2,600 protests scheduled right now, with experts saying there may be even more. And as you can see, there are protests scheduled in every single state in America. Now, the original No Kings protest from June made it the third largest protest in American history, behind the Earth Day protest of 1970 and the George Floyd protest back in 2020. There is expected to be a ton of federal ICE agents at these protests, and nobody really knows how these might go. The largest protest in American history might be happening.
So again, these people, they pissed off, man. They mad, man. All right. It's going down. All right. We know this according to Bible prophecy, man. Let's read it off. It's in 2 Esdras chapter 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. We know what time it is. We know what's coming. Okay, we know that World War III has to happen. We know that division, Jacob's trouble, all hell breaking loose has to happen. But we know before anything, all right, the MOTB got to happen first. First. All right, so I'm going to read this off, and then I got another one too. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then thou shalt understand that as the very same time where the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, where there should be seen earthquakes and upwards of the people in the world, then thou shalt understand that the Most High spake of those things for those days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like all that is made in the world have a beginning and end, the end is manifest. Ooh. All right, so the end of the world is here, man. Okay, you can clearly see upwards of the people, man. All right, let's get another one. All right, and it's heating up, and Lord willing, shoot, it intensifies. Why? Because we want to get out of here, man. We want to go home. All right, being in this place is the worst. It weighs you down, man. You know. So this is Mark chapter 13, and I'm gonna get it from 7. And we should hear of wars and rumors of wars. Be not troubled, for such thing must need be. But the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there should be earthquakes in diverse places, and there should be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrow. So literally, this is just the beginning. This just the first birthing pains. All right, let's get the next one.
The worst nightmare. Either you come out or we coming in. The worst nightmare.
Nah, dude, we were making our way in somewhere in this house. From the back or the front, it don't matter how it takes.
Open the door! Open the door!
All right, this is Matthew 24 and 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. All right, a lot of people about to start bugging out, man. You about to start seeing people going crazy, man. All right, let me get another scripture. Matthew 24 and 19. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. All right, and that's talking about, what if you had a child? What if you had a woman in there, It's all bad. It says, but pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day, right? Because imagine being in Jacob's trouble or out in the streets when it's super cold. You got people like this out there. You know, people dressing up in mass suits. You know, rapists, murderers, or people that escaped from prison. You know, just out there walking during the cold. That intensifies it. All right. It says, for there shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So you probably had it in the past to where, you know, you had creepsters or creepy people come into your house trying to get you out, or KKK members or certain things like that. But in these times that we're coming into, we're going to see things that we've never encountered before, or things that we've never seen. Okay, and it's going to be intensified. You're going to have all type of crazy people. All right. So it says, except those days be shortened. All right. Matthew 24:22. There shall no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So the Lord is going to make it to where He's going to shorten that time to where we're going to have to deal with all this hell, man. Okay. Because in Jacob's trouble, it's just going to be one thing after the next. And lately, that's how it's been for a lot of people, a lot of brothers, a lot of sisters. It might feel like you're going through all type of stuff, like you suffering or whatever, but that's just the Lord trying. Okay. Let's see if I can get this.
It's truly like an episode of...
The Trump administration has used the government shutdown, now on day 15, to lay off more than 4,000 federal workers, with plans to go further, according to Budget Chief Russell Vought.
I think we'll probably end up being north of 10,000.
Among them is this CDC scientist who asked us to conceal her identity for fear of retribution.
It's truly like an episode of Squid Games, because we don't know what's going to happen next.
She's worked at the agency for the past decade, studying chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease.
They went in and fired entire programs, even statutorily mandated by law programs. They cut entirely.
So everything you were working on just comes to a complete stop.
Yes.
For everyday Americans, is their health, their public health at risk?
Absolutely. It's going to mean more deaths, more preventable deaths. People will absolutely die from the impact of this administration.
A spokesperson for the Department of Health and Human Services said the layoffs were part of cutting a bloated bureaucracy and that the positions were deemed non-essential by their divisions. But the scientist we spoke to said the cuts at the CDC, where roughly 600 people were terminated over the weekend, will impact responses to disease outbreaks, like the measles outbreak in South Carolina. 5 new cases were reported yesterday, bringing the total to 16 since July, with 139 students quarantined.
The surge capacity of the CDC is going to be significantly hampered with these cuts. It's going to impede our ability to respond to public health outbreaks just when all of these threats are on the rise.
The Trump administration has used the government shutdown, now on day 15, to lay off more than 4,000 federal workers, with plans to go further, according to Budget Chief Russell Vought.
I think we'll probably end up being north of 10,000.
Among them is this CDC scientist who asked us to conceal her identity for fear of retribution.
It's truly...
You see what they doing?
Did you guys realize that there's so many people talking about the food stamp cut that's going on, as far as like people not getting their food stamps for the month of November? But what I'm gonna say is probably not going to benefit you or change the narrative of what's going on for the month of November. But what I am going to say is that you guys realize that around the first of the month, when the majority of people get their food stamps around the first of the month. Not everybody. Some people get them like on the 3rd, the 15th. It all depends. I don't know if it goes by your last name or what, but majority, if not all of these grocery stores around the U.S., they depend on those billions of dollars worth of food stamps to come in every single month. They prep for it every month at their grocery store. That's why when you go into a store around the first of the month, you see fresh grapes. Everything looks so fresh and pretty because they know that it's going to leave those shelves quick. You guys realize, even if it's just the month of November and people don't get their food stamps, do you know how bad that's going to hurt the grocery stores All those turkeys that's coming from all those farms that's going to sit there, millions of turkeys. They're going to have to get that stuff away. They can't let it just sit there and spoil. All that meat that sits there, guys, they have to mark that meat down and give it to you and sell it to you for discounted prices. Only people with cash is going to be able to afford that food. You guys realize how bad it's going to hurt the meat producers, the butchers, the farmers, the people who produce the vegetables and everything. So this is way bigger than you guys think. A lot of people was thinking, well, Thanksgiving's going to be bad. It could be bad if people don't get their food stamps because they're dependent on it. But just think about how big of a freaking disaster it's going to be on our economy, man. All it's going to take is just...
All right, so this second Esdras 16 and 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Ooh. Hey, man. Y'all better stop playing.
1,000 jobs, or roughly 6% of its workforce. The world's largest packaged food maker says the move will help it cut costs and win back investor confidence. The Swiss maker of Kit Kats, Nespresso, Perrier is trying to reverse stalling sales growth as it faces U.S. import tariffs. Let's start with Nestle. It's cutting 16,000 jobs, or roughly 6% of its workforce. The world's largest
Crazy, man.
Well, chat, we might really be cooked. People are actually doing fundraisers just to buy groceries. The CEO of GoFundMe says the company is seeing way more fundraisers for basic needs like food than ever before. Not medical emergencies or one-off crises, just milk, eggs, and bread. Which isn't exactly surprising given how basic necessities have essentially turned into luxuries in this economy. And accordingly, this rise in fundraisers has also come alongside a debt spiral. Recent research shows that more and more families are putting groceries on credit cards, and only about a third of them are able to pay off that balance. And many can't even afford to pay the minimum monthly payment. People are even now using buy now, pay later services like Klarna to buy food. And it's easy to chalk this all up to bad budgeting and bad decision making. But when housing and utilities eat up so much of your paycheck, food can quickly become more of a possibility than a guarantee, which is, of course, a huge problem because food isn't optional. The point is, if you're struggling right now, you're not failing. The economy, and especially the people running it who vowed to fix it instead of making it worse, are failing you. Failed leadership is the only way.
All right, so this is 2 Esdras 15 and 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth near. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So these people are going to start turning against one another for food, water, shelter, protection. All right, these people are going to start losing it. Soon people won't be able to pay for food, pay for their bills, pay for, their car or whatever. All right, soon everything is going to move to that digital ID, and then it's going to be pushed to that MOTB. All right, so hey, we're seeing a great shift to where people are going to begin to turn on one another. All right.
There are more and more Americans who are getting smaller and smaller paychecks, people who work for the federal government. Now, fortunately, the Trump administration has been able to make sure that our troops, our military gets paid for a while longer, but there are limits to what they can do. And you're already seeing, and I'm sure you're going to see more, there have been thousands of flight delays across the country, and the longer this drags on, the more of that you're going to see. Every day that goes by,
I'm trying to tell you.
We are currently on day 17 of the government shutdown, making this the longest full government-wide shutdown in U.S. history. Longer shutdowns did take place in 2019 and 1996, but those were both partial shutdowns, meaning some agencies and the legislative branch were still funded. Right now, hundreds of thousands of federal workers, including congressional staffers, have been furloughed or are working without pay. While there's no clear end in sight, lawmakers do have a few dates that they're looking at where they think some movement could happen. House Republicans have said that Democrats could fold after this weekend's No Kings rallies, saying that Democrats don't want to face opposition at those protests. Democrats, meanwhile, are looking toward November 1st, which is the first date of open enrollment under the Affordable Care Act. They expect congressional Republicans will feel more pressure to make a deal as that date approaches. Despite these different theories, some lawmakers are starting to say that this could last well into next month and even impact Thanksgiving travel. We are currently on day.
Nurses are sounding the alarm. Hospitals have hit a rough patch. When funds start to dry up, the easiest way is to cut payroll. Nurses are being sent home. They're being called ahead of their shifts and being told, hey, don't come in. The term low census, which I didn't know what it meant, but in the medical industry, I guess it just means there's not that many patients. If you get into the comment sections of these nurses, they're all talking about CMS. Didn't know what it was, had to go do the research. That's the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services. They're not paying like they used to. We know that Medicaid, Medicare went through like a Doge audit and so much fraud was found out. Well, hospitals are not able to bill like they used to, and hospitals guesstimate about 40% of their funds that flow in come from Medicaid and Medicare, and that's been cut back drastically, and it's also paying at a lot slower pace. So the amount of revenue that was coming.
An American Airlines Airbus A321 turning around midair, landing and shutting down its engines after fumes began filling the cabin and cockpit.
I do taste it in my mouth, so we got our masks on.
Potentially the latest case of noxious fumes, often described as a dirty feet smell. Past incidents have included flight attendants and pilots reporting debilitating headaches, dizziness, even suspected brain injuries. The likely cause in those cases, oil or hydraulic fluid leaking into the plane's bleed air system, which pulls outside air through the engines and...
Come on, man.
How are you guys liking Craig Pepper?
What?
How are you guys liking Craig Pepper?
All right. Finish, man.
I cannot believe how terrible this job market is. I think that the data, the underlying like unemployment data would belie that information. Aside from the fact that once you exhaust your unemployment, you're not traditionally considered unemployed anyway. I moved to Las Vegas in 2009 at the peak of what we would call the 2008-2009 financial crisis.
Salakia, I know if they knocked me off for a second. But yeah, man, they got some stuff going on. They got the burrito.
On my other post talking about
Hold up again, hold up, Salakia.
Hey, so in case you're wondering,
This is horrifying. ICE is now using full-body restraints, nicknamed the burrito, to deport immigrants, strapping human beings into black and yellow body wraps for hours at a time, including 16-hour flights. They're using this highly controversial restraint, also known as the wrap, even after internal government warnings and lawsuits compare it to torture.
Full-body restraint device is called the wrap. The company that made a modified version of the device for ICE says it allows for people to be restrained during flights and long bus trips. However, lawsuits filed compare incorrect usage of the wrap to punishment and even torture.
The AP has identified multiple...
And like I said, they gonna be doing that to you, Jake. They're gonna be doing that out here to everybody that's against taking that chip. All right.
going to collapse? Are we going to have a civil war, an uprising to happen? Ultimately, what do we think? Is society going to collapse? Are we going to have a civil war, an uprising? Are we all just going to continue to take it and just all be insanely poor? I have had so many comments on my other posts talking about like what is everyone doing to save money and to make more money. And I'm going to tell you guys, I have never read so many depressing comments. People that are no longer eating 3 meals a day. People that have canceled their health insurance because they can't afford it. People that have cut off their heat because they can't afford it. And meanwhile, these people are working more than one job. They're working more than 40 hours a week. United States has gotten into a really bad spot. And unfortunately, I don't think our government can get us out of it. I genuinely cannot even imagine.
Hey, so in case you're wondering, the government shutdown, which is now 15 days in, is the reason that SNAP benefits are going to go away come November, because Republicans are not even in Washington, D.C. to negotiate with Democrats, let alone reopen the fucking government. Speaker Mike Johnson keeps giving Republicans like the fucking week off. And not for nothing, they're still getting paid during the shutdown. We're still paying for them to like do their jobs when they're not actually doing their jobs. We also are continuing to pay for their healthcare when like they want to take away Americans' health cares, but now they also want to take away SNAP benefits, which is insane. Also, like, people are going to starve in the month that, like, you're supposed to give thanks and, like, help others. And I don't know. It's like...
Hey, man. Screw Thanksgiving, man. But, hey, man, with that being said, man, this place is going down. You can clearly see it. All right, so I want to give all praise, honor, infinite glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rekak, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, that teach well, that taught us the truth. And hearty shalom to all the Akim Nakwa tuning in. Shalom.